So you're looking forward to more Cyclops this week?
He's not in the movie.
No, there's no Cyclops in the movie.
No.
What about Iceman?
Nope.
No Iceman?
Nope.
Jean Grey?
Nope.
No Jean Grey?
Nope.
Angel?
Not the original Angel, a different Angel.
No Cyclops, no Jean Grey, no Angel.
Right, yeah.
Is the Beast in it?
Yeah, he is in it. X-Men First Class, the Beast is in it.
But this is the First Class movie.
Yep.
But there's none of them.
They took some liberties.
Snicked.
Not him either.
Oh. Snacked.
Hello, welcome to iFanboy, the comic book discussion show. My name is Connor Kilpatrick. I'm here with...
Josh Flanagan.
And
I'm Ron Richards, and I'm very excited.
it's a big week for Ron.
Big week. Woo! X Week started this Friday. X-Men First Class opens in theaters, the latest X-Men movie.
The fourth X-Men movie.
fourth
Well,
X-Men.
if you count X-Men Origins Wolverine, the fifth one.
Well, no, don't count X-Men 3.
Which one?
Yeah, exactly. No, but so technically the fifth-esque X-Men movie. Very excited for it.
It's based on Jeff Parker's graphic novel, the same name, correct?
Not so much.
I see. Very negative today.
I know. So the movie is called X-Men First Class, which carries the same title as a wonderful comic book series, X-Men First Class, that Jeff Parker wrote, and I think Roger Cruz did
a lot of it.
Yeah, did a lot of the art.
I, at one point, wrote an article on iFanboy proclaiming it the best X-book being published.
It was fantastic. And like all good things, it came to an end.
Because no one bought it. It didn't matter.
But they've collected it, and these are great comics that tell in-between issue stories of the classic X-Men lineup, which is Cyclops, Jean Grey, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Beast, and Angel, and Professor Xavier. It's collected. I think they reprinted a nice little digest.
They put out this first hardcover, then they put out regular trades, and then for the movie, they put out new digest size, which isn't comprehensive.
Right.
Jeff told us in our interview with Seattle, he just picked and chose his favorite stories, and they put those into the
But they're still fantastic
Yes.
comics, and we actually talked about them way years ago on episode 41 and episode 44, where we talked about with the tote bag incident.
I read those.
Yeah, I think we all.
We both read them. Yeah.
But
That's when I read
So
them.
you might want to go back and you can revisit that. Great stories. If you like X-Men, if you've never read any X-Men and you want to try, and that's a perfect place to start. If you watch the movie, you like it, pick that up. The book, though, has nothing to do with the movie.
So now this is a confusing sticking point for people because it's called X-Men First Class. Everyone who reads comics knows the First Class was the team you just referenced.
Right.
Yet, none of them are in the movie. Well, two of them are in the movie.
Well,
but
we're gonna talk about the movie later on in the show,
Yeah.
and just a real primer. Matthew Vaughn's directing it. He's the guy who did Kick-Ass,
Yep.
and with Fox and the X-Men franchise, they've always taken liberties.
Mm-hmm.
They've picked and choose what they wanted.
created their own continuity.
Yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about the movie later on in the show. But first, I thought what was interesting, that the defining factor about X-Men First Class, the movie, is that it's like a prequel of sorts that tells the X-Men's first adventure in the early 60s.
It's a period piece.
Exactly. It's actually very like with all the Madman, kind of
Mad Men Mania.
Mad Men Mania. Not Mike Allred. He's good.
Like a minute to get through.
I know. No, but it's very retro. It's got this very kind of 60s feel. What I want to do is I wanted to revisit the X-Men in the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
The X-Men started in 1963, created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby.
This is the omnibus of the original run.
Now,
Those guys.
yeah,
They were
good.
Yeah, they were
what,
good.
what happened to them?
Well, I never. But what's interesting is that you have this time period of amazing creativity and Fantastic Four and Avengers and
Spider-Man.
Iron Man and Spider-Man, all this great stuff. They create the X-Men. Not a hit.
That's the fascinating thing because the X-Men, if you're young, in the 80s and 90s, they're the biggest thing in comics. They're still pretty big
They're
now.
a symbol of the sellout.
But in the
Late
60s time, when all this creativity was happening, no one cared.
No, I mean
No one bought the book.
And so much so that if you look at the history, then we've got the first omnibus that came out, the volume 1. I think they're doing a volume 2 of this one.
Oh, interesting.
It's all reprints.
Yeah, but what's interesting is that Kirby left the book at
pretty early.
issue 15.
Yeah.
Stan Lee stopped writing it around issue 19.
Yeah.
So within 2 years of the book's existence, they both bailed.
Yeah.
And-
Well, the book wasn't selling, and they were wasting their time on it. They could be doing Fantastic Four.
Exactly. So you had the core team. You had Professor Xavier organized, and it was, like I said, Cyclops, Marvel Girl, Iceman, Beast, and Angel. And that was the team for the majority of the 60s. And their first encounter was fighting Magneto and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. That's where we got Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. Not not the greatest stories. They're fun.
It's very much Stanley in the 60s stories.
Have you ever read any of the early stuff? No. Yeah.
It's a lot of words.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun, but at the same time, if you don't look at it through the lens of the time period, it's a little jarring. I mean, when Marvel, the big story in the beginning is Marvel Girl joins the team, and it's basically if they could have drawn the tongues falling out and then rolling down
because they were teen boys, they were teenagers. They're like, hey, I got hormones.
Yeah, so like she's walking up the drive, and they're all at the window, like, who's that dish? You know, and then they basically sexually harass her for the rest of the issue, and then the next one after that. So. It was the 60s. These things happened.
Actually,
there was a lot of ass slapping in the office.
X-Men number 18, Iceman versus Magneto. That's the earliest X-Men issue I own in my collection.
Oh wow!
I actually have that issue. About $75 for that in 1992.
Ooh.
What do you think you get it for now?
40. I looked it up. Yeah, not that bad. But anyway, so once Kirby and Lee left, pretty much Roy Thomas took over the writing duties, and a couple of people filled in here and there, but Roy Thomas kind of
he was the main guy.
Through the main thing. But then you had a cavalcade of artists that you've never heard of. Jay Gavin.
Nope.
Well, some other guys that you have heard of, like Don Heck and Werner Roth. Actually, Jim Steranko did 2 issues.
I've heard of him.
And he did some covers and stuff like that. That was also. But the book not selling well, verge of cancellation. And then 1969 rolls around, and Neal Adams, the hot young artist,
rolls in,
comes into Marvel, and Marvel says, "What do you want to do?"
Avengers, right? You want to do Avengers, Neil?
And he does do Creed Skullroll. That was after this.
Yeah.
Basically, Neal Adams goes, "What's your worst selling book?" And they're like, "Oh, the X-Men." It's like, "I want to do that. We're gonna make that a hit." And so Roy Thomas and Neal Adams teamed up for what is, in my mind, I think, a legendary, underrated run of X-Men.
No one read it, so they don't.
No one read it. This was the first time I remember when, as a kid, looking at the covers where they interacted with the logo.
Yeah.
That was the first time I ever saw them do that. I know other books did that, but where the villain is grabbing the X-Men is crumbling, I was like, he's grabbing the logo. It's like,
how is he doing that?
Yeah, and they also expanded the
It doesn't work. It doesn't make sense.
They expanded the team out to include Polaris, who was a girl with Magneto's powers. And they thought
green hair.
Yeah, green hair. And they thought she was Magneto's daughter, but she's not. But anyway. And then they added Havoc, who was Cyclops' brother, Alex Summers.
Who was in the film.
Who's going to be in the movie, which is an interesting point.
So of course, Neal Adams, Roy Thomas, they made the book a hit.
Big hit.
Not so much. No. Despite the art is the layout.
Yeah, it's great.
Book are amazing. It was the first time anybody did like diagonal panel. Like Neal Adams did some crazy stuff. Didn't last very long. only a handful of issues.
You know that thing how I was going to turn it around? Let's do the Avengers.
Yeah. So then an interesting. This is how different the comic book industry is. At issue 67, they stopped doing original stories and ran reprints until issue 93.
Of the old stories, but they kept the numbering in continuous.
Yeah. So issue 68 was just a rehash of issue number 2.
And they nuts.
Yeah, it's just
that wouldn't happen. Like the other thing that wouldn't happen is there's nobody like Neal Adams.
Yeah.
Grant Morris isn't going to come in and be like, give me your worst book, and they put him on like Spider-Girl, like
it's not.
Well, also interesting if you think about this is like the what if. You know, we like to talk what ifs.
Yeah.
What does the comic industry look like without X-Men?
Yeah, X-Men.
What if X-Men never comes back?
Yeah, because the thing was that so X-Men didn't get canceled. It goes into reprints, and then we go into the 70s, and at Giant Size X-Men number 1 in 1975, that's when Cockrum and Len Wein
changed the team completely.
Then you have Claremont come in, and that's when it becomes a big hit. If they canceled it at issue 66, that might not have never happened.
It's
3 years of
more years. It's 6 years.
Is it?
Yeah. It's a long time. It's the whole early 70s.
Was nuts.
Yeah, I know. It was all.
And the thing is, the book is this allegory for civil rights, and you're talking about the time period that is most relevant as a topic.
Right.
But I guess nobody put that together.
Not at all.
But really, if you think of how different is the 80s and 90s without if there's no X-Men books.
It's
no
completely
Image.
There's no Image Comics.
Well,
probably.
I think that probably would have happened.
Well, those guys all came out, and then Jim Lee.
Image came out of McFarlane and Spider-Man, and that was.
But also, I mean,
Jim Lee was a big force of it.
Jim Lee.
They would have been on it.
Liefeld was on an X book. I mean, all those guys came out of X.
That whole franchise wouldn't have. Yeah, I mean, Marvel probably wouldn't be in the position it was in because it was such a huge seller. Yeah.
Or even in now.
Yeah. So I mean, it's amazing to see how such a successful book and such a huge moneymaker was on the verge of cancellation numerous times.
For the first 15 years of his existence, it was basically it was a Doom Patrol.
Yeah.
Basically.
No, exactly. No, it really. Yeah. It was
Doom Patrol. It was a team of weirdos with no one bought it.
but it did capture an essence of the '60s, and it captured the atomic age. It captured, like you said, the civil rights movement and teen angst, and and all that, with the youth culture that was coming up. I mean, really,
the beatniks.
Yeah.
They had the coffee shop they went to where the hippies were.
Yeah. Because Stan wasn't writing the book. Stan hated those beatniks, but and the Beatle haircuts. And stuff like that. But you had the X-Men. They weren't in New York City. They were in Westchester, so they were already out of it a little to a certain degree, and there was more room to grow these characters and groom them into what essentially then became the successful franchise that it was.
I think if you look at that, though, that allegory, there's the civil rights allegory, but that was obviously moldable over time. You can look at all sorts of different things.
Gay rights.
If you look at Bryan Singer's movies, obviously that was something that it's felt to be more like gay rights or civil rights at the same time.
Yep.
It's a very, and the teen sort of thing, that teen angst, that sort of people trying to figure out where they fit in.
Well, it's always kind of been the idea that the mutation came when you change puberty. It's always kind of been a puberty allegory. Like your body changes, you get freaked out. In this case, you grow wings instead of
hair.
So that's a fake beard.
Yeah.
Cool.
But so
nice.
Penciled it.
But so going back to the movie, so when Matthew Vaughn tackled X-Men, he came onto X-Men First Class, the decision was to do the prequel, tell their first story, go back to the 60s. Interesting, Matthew Vaughn was originally supposed to do the third X-Men movie.
Which they never made.
Never
made.
And
Bryan Singer did the first two, and then he left to do Superman.
And I believe Bryan Singer handpicked Matthew Vaughn based off of Layer Cake, his first film.
Matthew Vaughn's not done a lot of films. He did Layer Cake, he did Stardust, he did Kick-Ass.
Yeah, that's it. And
all great films.
Apparently the pressure of doing a major X-Men superhero, he's like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
And so he bailed and didn't do the third movie, which I hated him for. But fucking Ratner. But now he's back and decided to do it. And I mean, I gotta say, we've had a lot of trailers. It seems as if I think there are two. We've seen a lot of international trailers, but there are two official trailers that came out. This was the one that we always forgot about. Like, as we were planning this year, we were like, all right, we got Thor, we got Captain America, we got Green Lantern, and then we'd be like, oh, wait, X-Men's coming.
That's an X-Men movie. Like, they were Fox was very quiet until
recently.
It was like a month or two ago where they dropped the first trailer.
Yeah.
But until that point, everyone decided it must have been a disaster because no one had been talking about it. And they dropped the first trailer, and suddenly it changed everyone's tune.
Yeah. And even the second trailer came out, and we're like,
looks great.
That looks great.
I love the idea that it's a period piece. I love that while it's not the original team from the comics, it's the original team from the movie world. It's in the 60s where the original team first showed up.
Yeah.
I like that aspect
Exactly.
of it.
The period piece aspect of it is the thing that has me really excited because I've never, all these comic book properties that are being put into movies now were birthed at that time, but there's never been something that took place at that time. I've never seen that, and the idea of it is like, well, that's amazing. I don't know how.
I haven't seen a superhero movie in the 60s since the Batman movie, which was in the 60s.
Yeah,
I mean, but that wasn't a period piece. That was a it's a new thing to do a superhero movie that takes place in
nothing to do with that bomb.
So now, what's really interesting is like we said earlier, the Fox has taken liberties with what they're doing with these X-Men movies.
Right.
Like we've already learned from the first three movies that they picked and choose what elements, what characters, what story things that they like. There are traces of the comics in it, but it's not a wholesale. This is their story. The two glaring kind of evidence of this in X-Men First Class is that one, Xavier's got hair, which
and he's never had hair. You say
I've never seen a hair in that man's head.
Okay,
ever. I've never seen hair.
Is he a jerk?
Yeah,
'Cause
Kitty's right.
As I understand.
Yeah, Professor Xavier is a jerk. But, so he's got hair, whatever. But then also it plays up, as the X-Men have gone over the past 40 years, we've gotten this sense of a relationship between Xavier and Magneto. Mm-hmm. And in the comics, the first issue is the X-Men fighting Magneto. So this is taking that relationship and showing us that relationship. And then their first engagement isn't against Magneto. Magneto's actually on the team. He's in an X uniform. Yep. That awesome shot with him.
They're doing the yellow and blue. I mean,
costumes.
Is it in the comics that they had like in these early ones that they had a relationship prior to the fight? Yeah. That comes later.
Yeah, okay. That came out later. Yeah.
The whole MLK and Malcolm X allegory.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that there's little liberties there. As we talked about at the very beginning of the show, the First Class is not the true First Class.
So who's on this First Class?
Well, you do have a Summers. You do have Alex Summers as Havoc.
But do we know he's a Summers in the film? We just know he's
it's
Havoc.
credited as Alex Summers. So,
And if you see the trailer, he shoots the red blast, which is in the comics it's not a red blast.
It's a white
It's like
blast.
they're tying it into.
His power is a belly blast.
Well, not really. I mean, like his power, he just shoots energy out. But the classic Havoc costume was that black costume with the white kind of concentric circles. Yeah. And so they have something similar to that.
But I like how they're tying it into Cyclops, so giving the power looks the same.
Yeah.
Which is
because they're related.
Yeah.
And they already spent the money on the.
Okay, so he's the Cyclops.
So we got that. Then instead of Jean Grey, we get young Mystique.
Okay.
Which, I mean, they love Mystique. I mean, I don't know.
And this is where you run
It's a
into
naked blue chick.
Yeah.
and this is where you run into trouble
Yeah.
because
She got red hair.
no, because she's in this movie in the '60s and she's still in her 20s in the first X-Men movie.
Well,
But she's a shapeshifter. Who knows?
ain't human.
Yeah. But so.
Are you an anti-mutant
is this
dentite?
in-
What are you?
Is this in continuity?
Of the-
movie continuity.
yeah, it's movie
It's in the movie continuity.
Yeah, because they keep they're using footage from the other movies.
Yeah, yeah.
It's in movie continuity.
And that, but that's the Mystique
cool.
thing is just like in the comics though, because she's been around for a really long time.
She's
also,
never on the team. She was never.
it
on
doesn't
the team.
matter. The point being that her aging is not
Yeah, she
the
and
same.
Wolverine were in the 30s.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly. Yeah. I'm
That's
fine
in-
with her being in the movie.
Okay.
I'm not okay with her being on the X-Men. That's all.
So you're already going in there.
No, but
with
in terms
list.
of the movie, that makes it ties the connection because if Magneto was one of the teachers or on the team, and she was on the team, when Magneto breaks off, he takes her. with him.
Yeah,
that
makes sense.
Banshee is on the team, which in the trailer looks awesome.
Yeah.
When
Yeah, and he's got the things.
He's got that's so cool. So Banshee's on it.
Beast is in it. When the
Beast is
original
in it,
member.
yeah, so we see
the only true original member of the team.
and it's that annoying British kid from Skins and About a Boy, and we
I
see
like
him.
He's like, what range?
His hair, his eyebrows. But we see him turn.
Everything.
We see him go from a normal person.
I love Normal Beast.
And then he turns into the Blue Beast.
I don't like Blue Beast.
yeah,
I like
no.
Normal Beast.
And then the fifth member, I'm not quite sure. I think it's Riptide. I couldn't tell from the trailer.
I thought he was a G.I. Joe.
No, Riptide was a member.
Joe
of
or Cobra?
A
Joe.
member of the. Came in like Uncanny X-Men 211 was his first issue. He was like part of the Mutant Massacre. He's like not an X-Men. He's like he was part of the Marauders. So, but they take liberties. They pick and choose what they like.
And there's two that they pulled from the modern age with Darwin.
So we see Darwin is now. We didn't see Darwin in the trailer, but he's on the IMDb page. So Darwin,
which is never wrong.
Exactly. Which was Darwin was introduced in the stuff Brubaker did. With Vulcan
he had that head. Yeah.
What was it? It was X-Men. What was it? Endangered Species? No, it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
It was the team that Xavier put together before Giant Size X-Men. Basically, it was a retcon. Something.
Yes.
So Darwin's in it, and then also an Angel is in it, which is looks like a hooker stripper type.
Who would be Stacy X merged with Angel.
Casey's Uncanny.
And with Grant and with the character from Grant's run a new
right.
X-Men.
So they're calling her Angel. Also, someone who's not in the team, but Moira McTaggart's in the movie as well.
Moira is with Xavier, Magneto,
his girlfriend,
school, and that sort of thing. Yeah. So you've got pieces and ties into it. It looks great, and what also looks really cool is that not only the X-Men's first adventure was against Magneto, and it was like on a army base and stuff like that. What they've done in the movie is that they've layered in the Cuban Missile Crisis. So you got Kennedy, it's 1963.
Kennedy's in this. That's a good get.
You got Russians. You got the threat of nuclear war. But then it's a nod to. Later in the X-Men comics, in like the 100s, Magneto actually sunk a Russian sub, and that's what he ended up getting tried for in Uncanny X-Men 200. And in the trailer, we see Magneto pulling a Russian sub out of the water, and as an X-Men fan, I went, "Oh, it's the Russian sub!"
With one hand,
that looks awesome.
Yeah,
the Cuban Missile Crisis on its own is a fascinating story. It's suspenseful. It's dramatic. Go see 13 Days. Very good movie about it.
Costner though.
Great movie.
He's great in it. Kenny O'Donnell, special advisor to the president. It's a great movie. No one saw it. Doesn't matter. But you add this into it, and I love that idea of historical fiction. Like you take these characters and you put them into a real world thing that is already incredibly dramatic. I watched. I don't know anything about that old issue of X-Men, but I was like, the possibilities of them coming in and taking over this military global nuclear conflict, that is fascinating. How would that change things?
We also haven't even mentioned the bad guys in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah, so you have Sebastian Shaw played by Kevin
Bacon
in an ascot.
So
you got Sebastian Shaw in the Hellfire Club, and then also we got Emma Frost as January Jones from Mad Men as Emma Frost. And we see her actually go to Diamond Form.
Just did this. It was really subtle, but he's not wrong either.
So it's going to be really interesting to see how they layer in the Hellfire Club into this as a villain.
Yeah.
You know, like I mean, I literally the trailer.
I'm excited for this movie. I'm really excited
The
for it.
trailer looks fantastic, and I have no idea what the movie's about. I mean, I guess
That's exactly what you want.
Exactly, yeah. And the thing is, I love Kick-Ass. Like, I trust Matthew Vaughn. Like, I think
I loved Stardust. I loved Layer Cake. I love Kick-Ass.
Kick-Ass probably my least favorite of those movies, but they're all.
I really think this is gonna. I mean, like, I think Thor and Captain America are like the big Marvel movies this summer. I think X-Men First Class is gonna surprise a lot of people.
I think it's gonna be a really good movie.
Yeah.
I kind of don't doubt that. What an interesting cast.
Yeah.
There's this great ensemble, and there's not that person that you need to rally everything around. So there's not.
I'm really surprised. I really thought they would find a way to shoehorn Wolverine in.
Hugh Jackman.
Because he's
just watch.
I'm not
like you don't.
Right.
Yeah, sure, yeah, man.
Because he's immortal-ish. He could have been around. So problem is Hugh Jackman looks way older if you watch the first X-Men.
And also Hugh Jackman has a stranglehold on that character. Like the next movie is locked up in him approving the director.
Yeah.
Like it's like that's a Hugh Jackman thing.
But like I was
between dancing roles, he's got.
I really thought
pay the bills.
that when they announced the movie, they'd find a way to. I'd be like, they're going to find a way to stick him in the First Class. They're going to somehow, but they apparently didn't, which is I give them credit for, because doing an X-Men film without Wolverine is a huge gamble.
Yep, totally. So I'm super excited for it. I can't wait. I'm going to be first in line. I just can't.
Are you?
Oh, totally.
I'm just hoping
I
that
see a picture of you at the front of the line.
when you're coming out of the film, it's not like we came out of X3, because that was one of the darkest days I've ever seen for you.
That was literally, we were in the movie theater in New York City, and the credits are rolling, and I'm sitting there dumbfounded, and the people sitting behind us lean over to Connor and go, is he going to be all right? Pointing at me, because I was just broken heart.
And he was never right again.
Oh, God.
It was a violently mediocre film.
No, less than mediocre.
No,
Cyclops died off screen!
Yeah, but
Off camera, why? Sorry. Anyway, so we're going to have a whole post about the movie on iFanboy.com, as well as we're going to have an audio podcast talking about our review. There'll be a written review of it. There's going to be all this great X-Men content on iFanboy.com all this week. So go to iFanboy.com. That's the place to celebrate comic books. So.
Our email address is contact@ifanboy.com. You can write us with comments on this, on your X-Men stuff, on other things. We take any kind of comments, not even the X-Men related. And 888-FANBOY 326-2697 is our voicemail line. Same thing. Call us about anything. Tell us who you are, where you're from.
Give it the now. Follow us on twitter.com/ifanboy and facebook.com/ifanboy, where you can sort of see the updates of stuff that we're doing. You can comment on stuff there and interact and stuff that's going on.
One other thing they got right in the movie, as far as I can tell, except for the color scheme, Magneto's helmet finally looks right. Like, I never liked the angular with the Ian McKellen one.
This one's got look like the comics.
Yeah. It's just
it's got the curve, and so it doesn't have the little double horns on the top, but it's more reminiscent of the comics. So
Fassbender looks pretty amazing.
He looks great. He looks really good. Yeah, McAvoy.
I like McAvoy.
I wish they'd shake his head. That would have been awesome.
Is that worse?
How is that different than the blonde?
Say, like the haircut. Look, she should be blonde.
It's the same thing. Like, oh, I'm not old enough, dude. That's fair.
Yeah, good luck.
Look over there! Alex Ross cover.
I thought I was really paying attention that time. I don't think I missed it.
Peripheral vision. I wasn't even looking. I was like, I hope he pointed to Josh.